All right, and also if you haven't joined the Nearpod, go ahead and join the Nearpod. Because we're going to be doing a lot of our work on there. Okay. So if you did not finish this part, don't worry about it. It's fine. All transformations preserve congruence except which one? Dilations, because that gets bigger or smaller. Translations adds or subtracts to x and y. Reflection over the x-axis is x negative y. Where is that at? Right here. Reflection across the y-axis is negative xy. Rotating 90 degrees clockwise is y negative x. 90 degrees counterclockwise is negative yx. 180s is negative x negative y. And dilation is the only transformation that multiplies to the x and y. To find the dilation, you do new over old. Anyone get all of those before I did that? No? So this information right here is what we did the past, probably before Thanksgiving break, we did this for the past 3 weeks. So if you didn't study, I would definitely suggest that before the 9 weeks test in 2 weeks from now. Okay, if you didn't finish, it's fine. All right. So title your notes, Pythagorean Theorem. That is what we're gonna do for the next 2 class periods. Then we are going to review for our 9 weeks test from there. So Pythagorean Theorem, this is one of my favorite things to teach. You definitely will need to use your calculator. So if you could do split screen with Desmos, that would benefit you because you're gonna constantly be using your calculator today. Or if you have Desmos on your phone, you can use that. All right, Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem.
It was a quiet Sunday morning in the city of angels when all of a sudden a giant robot appeared out of nowhere. A distress call was put out to Professor Pogo and his students. Giant robot attacking! Help! The call was from the city mayor's office, and Professor Pogo and his students raced to the scene. Aha! This mechanical monstrosity bears the initials of that incorrigible delinquent, Tommy Rot. Oh no! Try and stop me now! Gee, what are we gonna do? We'll blast him to kingdom come. No. We will tie this rope from this parking meter to this fire hydrant and trip the robot, sending it crashing to the ground. Hasta la vista, Senor Roboto. How short do you want the rope? Aha! You have asked the right question. We will use the Pythagorean Theorem to figure it out. Pythagorean Theorem? Yes. The Pythagorean Theorem states that if we have a right triangle, which means a triangle with a 90-degree angle, and we know the length of 2 sides, we can then figure out the length of the third side. In our case, the sidewalk and the meter form a right angle. The height of the meter is 3 feet. The distance from the meter to the fire hydrant is 4 feet. So now, with this information, we can then figure out how long the rope needs to be. The Pythagorean Theorem states that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If our meter is 3 feet tall, we square the 3, which is 3 times 3, and that equals 9. Let's work on the 4.
All right, so I'm going to pause it here. But basically, this is just an introduction to what the Pythagorean Theorem is for. So Pythagorean Theorem is for right triangles only. Write that down. Right triangles only. Pythagorean Theorem is for right triangles only. Right triangles only. So I know something is a right triangle when it has a 90-degree angle. When it has a 90-degree angle. Go ahead and copy this picture of this triangle as well. All right, so we know that this is a right triangle because of this 90-degree angle. This tells me that this is a right triangle. So I knew I can use Pythagorean theorem. What I want you to do is notice I labeled this right triangle. So on a right triangle, there's this thing called legs and the hypotenuse. The legs are the part of the triangle that make up the 90-degree angle. You can think of it as making an L. The legs make an L, make that 90-degree angle. 90-degree angle. So the two sides that make the 90-degree angle are called the legs. The side that is directly across from the 90-degree angle is called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. So the side that is right across from that 90-degree angle is called the hypotenuse. This is the longest side on the right triangle. I would write that down. This is the longest side on the right triangle. So the two sides that make up the 90-degree angle are called the legs. The side right across from the 90-degree angle is called the hypotenuse. And this is the longest side. Longest side. Okay. So let me go back. So what the Pythagorean theorem says, and I would write this really beautiful on your paper, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. ABC. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Where A and B represent the legs. A and B represent the legs. And C represents the hypotenuse. A and B represent our legs. C represents the hypotenuse. So it really doesn't matter which one you say A or B is because it just represents the legs. And then C represents the hypotenuse. C represents the hypotenuse. So the Pythagorean theorem states that one of the legs squared plus the other leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared. So a leg squared plus another leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared. So let's look at this in picture form. So you do not have to draw this, but I just want you to see it visually. So if you notice, this is the right triangle right here. These are my legs, A and B, and this would represent my hypotenuse, C. So side A is 4 units long. What is 4 squared? 16. Well, 4 squared, 4 by 4, this has 16 blocks in it, right? 4 squared. So this would be 16. 4 by 4 squared. This side is 3 units long. So what is 3 squared? 9. So this has 9 blocks in it. Or it's 9 units squared, or 3 by 3 squared. So the Pythagorean theorem says that a squared, 16, plus b squared, 9, equals c squared. Well, this side is 5 units long. What is 5 squared? 25. So that means these blocks plus these blocks together would equal this hypotenuse squared, which it is. 9 plus 16 is 25. So I could fit all these blocks inside the hypotenuse square as well. So 3 squared, this is one of my legs, plus 4 squared, this is my other leg, equals the hypotenuse squared. Do y'all see that visually? So these blocks plus these blocks, I can fit them all in these blocks right here. So we use the Pythagorean theorem, 1, to prove if something is a right triangle, okay? So copy this triangle down, just really quickly. A 3 by 4 by 5 triangle. And we want to prove that this is a right triangle. So yes, ma'am.
Do we draw the green one, correct?
Yes, the green one. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. So we want to prove if this is a right triangle. Some of you are like, well, yes, Miss Patterson, it's a right triangle. There's the 90-degree angle. But do you see it showing you a 90-degree angle? Does it specifically say that that's a 90-degree angle? No. So we can't just say, oh, it's a 90-degree angle. Okay, so that means I need to prove it by using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, but how do I know which one A, B, and C are if there's not a 90-degree angle? Say it louder, Dalen. The hypotenuse, yes. So the longest side is the hypotenuse. So 5 would represent the C here. 5 would represent my hypotenuse because it's the longest side. 5 would be the biggest number, therefore it's the longest side. So therefore I'm gonna say this is A and this is B. Again, it doesn't matter. You can say this is A or this one's B. They're just the legs. So go ahead and label your triangle. In the Pythagorean theorem, always label, because you will confuse yourself if you do not label which one is A, B, and C. Okay? So we're gonna put our numbers into the Pythagorean theorem. This formula will be on your formula chart, so this is not something you have to remember, but most people memorize it. It's pretty easy. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we said 3 is A, so we're gonna put 3 for A. So 3 squared plus, for B, we labeled that 4, so 4 squared. We're trying to see if it equals C squared. For C, we put 5, so 5 squared. So we want to see if 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Well, let's see. What is 3 squared? 9. What is 4 squared? 16. What is 5 squared? 25. What is 9 plus 16? 25. So doesn't 25 equal 25? Yes, so this is a right triangle. This is a right triangle. And if you notice, I just used the same numbers from earlier, okay? So this is a right triangle because A squared plus B squared does equal C squared.
Miss Patterson, I have a question.
Yes, Kaylee Kang.
So when you're using the Pythagorean theorem, all you're trying to do is figure out if it's a right triangle.
For now, yes, that's all we're gonna do. But in about 2 minutes, we're gonna do a little bit more than that. But yes, we use the Pythagorean theorem to find out if it's a right triangle. Yes. May I move from this slide? All righty. All right, so now let's look at this one. Copy this one down quickly. All right, we want to see if this is a right triangle. First, we got to label. Which side would be the hypotenuse? 9, absolutely, because 9 is the biggest number, so 9 would represent our hypotenuse. So we're going to say 9 is C. And then you can say either 5 or 8 or A and B. I'm going to put 5 as A and 8 as B. Doesn't matter though, because they're just the legs. So now that I've labeled, I can do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And we want to see if this is a right triangle. So if you're ahead of me, please figure it out on your own first. You don't have to wait on me. So I labeled A as 5. So 5 squared plus B squared. 8 is B, so 8 squared. And we want to see if that equals C squared, 9 squared. What is 5 squared? 25. What is 8 squared? 64. And we want to see if that equals 9 squared. Oh, that's a terrible 81. All right, 81. What is 25 plus 64? All right. So is it a right triangle? No, because 25 plus 64 is 89. 89 does not equal 81, so this is not a right triangle. Questions? Questions? Confusion? Confusion? No? You ready to do one on your own? Oh, yeah. Let's do it. All right, so prove whether or not this is a right triangle. This is not drawn to scale. Does 1 minute, 30 seconds seem enough time? All right. So remember, the hypotenuse would be the longest side. So here, the longest side is 26. So that would be your C. That means 25 and 24, your A and B. $45 more seconds. All right, let's see. All right, so is this a right triangle? No. Okay, so I'm gonna share out this person's. So they labeled their triangle A, B, and C. They show that 24 squared plus 25 squared, which is 1,201, does not equal 26 squared, which is 676. So this is not a right triangle. Okay, I need to know if you're confused because we're about to get spicier. Okay, good. All right. Any questions? Zoomies, questions? Are we good? No. All right. All right. So, we're going to skip this one. Let me look at it. Yeah, we'll skip this one. We'll do this next class. All right. So, let me skip. Okay. All right. Now, what if we're missing a side? What if we know this is a right triangle, but now a side is missing? Something we got to do something. Draw this triangle. Draw it. So this is a 6 by 8 by question mark triangle. Question mark.
And they had prototype. Well, they weren't real ones, but they were like back and things from the ceiling in the window display. I was like, whoa.
Oh, are you talking about the one like off of All right, so we need to figure out. Well, first of all, we need to figure out what's missing. Is it a leg or is it a hypotenuse? How do we know? It looks longer, but how else do we know? Yes, perfect. So this right angle, this right triangle marker right here. Oh, I like that word. It tells me where the legs are. These 8 and 6 make up the legs, and the hypotenuse is always right across from the right angle. So we know that the hypotenuse is missing. We know that C is missing. So we have to find C. I know. Well, like I always say, let's first label. So let's make 6A and 8B. Let's label our triangle first. Let's label first. Okay. And we're going to do everything we've been doing, and let's see where it takes us. So let's write down A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Time. I got to write this down. Time. So this is our Pythagorean Theorem formula. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A, we labeled as 6 squared, plus B, we labeled as 8 squared, equals, well, we don't know C squared, so we're just going to write C squared. So we have 6 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. Okay, let's just keep going. Let's just keep it going. What is 6 squared? 36. What is 8 squared? 64. And we still don't know C squared. So we're just going to keep writing equals C squared. Okay, 36 plus 64 is 100. So we know 100 equals C squared. Do you think that's my answer? It says 100 equals c squared. So 100 equals c squared, not c, and we're looking for c. Does anyone remember, think back, what is the opposite of squaring something? Think back to that interesting
Dividing.
It's not dividing, square root. The opposite of squaring something is finding the square root. Well, since this is 100 equals c squared, well, to figure out, well, what number is that squared will equal 100, I would take the square root of both sides, square root. This is an important step that many people miss. We have to take the square root because this is 100 equals c squared, not 100 equals c. So we take the square root of 100. We take the square root of both sides. Now, a lot of us, we can do this in our head, but we need to make sure we know how to use Desmos. So let me see if I can get it pulled up real quick. Okay, and we need to start practicing Desmos because you don't get to use your phone calculator on the test. So if I want to take the square root, this button right here is my square root button on Desmos. So the square root of 100 equals 10. So there's my answer. 10 equals C. Yay! There's my hypotenuse. 10 equals C. Okay, I know I have to have some questions. No? Straightforward? Another example? Yeah, of course. All right, so this is me just explaining it. The answer is 10. Okay, so you can do this one on your own if you feel confident. Okay, if you don't feel confident, then don't worry. I'm helping you. So I'm gonna go really slow because I want most of you to go ahead of me because I think some of you got it. Wow. Alrighty. So here's my right triangle. I know the hypotenuse is missing because that's right across from the 90-degree angle. So I know my C is missing. So I'm going to label my A, B, and C. And all the time, every time, my step one is to label. Always label. Always label. Step two is use the Pythagorean theorem. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I labeled A as 9. So 9 squared. Am I going slow enough for the people who want to do it before me? Okay. Plus B squared. B I said is 12. So plus 12 squared equals C squared. Because I don't know C, I'm just going to keep writing equals C squared. 9 squared is 81. 12 squared is 144 equals C squared. 81 plus 144 is 225. So that gives me 225 equals C squared. I'm going to pause here because a lot of people right here, they think that's their answer. But this says 225 equals C squared. What do I have to do? Square root. Find the square root of that. Go to my handy dandy Desmos. And that equals 15. So my missing side is 15. My hypotenuse. You went ahead of me. Did you get that? Yay! Good, good, good. Ooh, color-coded and everything. All right, submit that drawing, submit that drawing.
Miss Patterson,
Haley Kang.
wait, so are we supposed to go onto the Nearpod and do it? Because I just wrote it down in my journal.
Okay, so you never joined the Nearpod?
No.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
I did it slower than you because I was trying to finish up doing the one before.
Okay.
I didn't.
Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see is like, for instance, 9 squared. People do 9 times 2.
That's what I did.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is realize it's squaring. So it's 9 times 9, 12 times 12. Remember what squared is. Okay. There's only one more thing. Are you ready? It's going to be the spiciest out of everything we've done. I'll wait. Just let me know when you're ready to go. Okay. Good. For the people who do submit the drawing, it looks like everyone got the answer. All right. Last but not least, copy this down. Oh no, a leg is missing. What do we do?
This is too spicy.
Too spicy. So Dalen has already told us this time a leg is missing. A leg. Oh no. And we gotta find this missing leg. And we know it's a leg because it's on the side with the 90-degree angle. So remember, the 2 legs make like an L. So what's the first thing we always need to do?
Label.
Label. So I'm gonna label, I'm gonna say the question mark is A, 16 is B, and the hypotenuse is always C. The hypotenuse is always labeled C. So I labeled my triangle. Now I'm gonna write down my Pythagorean Theorem formula. Always, always, always. So first thing is I do as a label, then write down the Pythagorean Theorem formula. This will help me and guide me in what to do. The C looks weird. Let me rewrite it. All right, so I don't know A. So I'm just gonna keep writing A squared. I don't know what A is. So A squared plus B, B is 16, 16 squared equals C, C we labeled as 20, 20 squared. A squared plus 16 squared equals 20 squared. All right, well, let's square them. A squared plus 16 squared, 16 times 16 is 256, equals 20 squared. 20 squared is 400. Okay, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Well, I do, but I want to see if y'all can tell me. I got A squared. Let me write it over here on the white part. A squared plus 256 equals 400. And I want to solve for A. Any ideas? Yeah, I like that idea. We're going to subtract 256 from both sides. Why am I subtracting 256? Yes. Okay. So both 2 valid points. This is plus 256 is positive number, so I subtract it. Also, this is on the side with A squared, and I want to figure out what A is, so I have to get rid of the 256. So I'm going to subtract the leg from the hypotenuse. So subtract 256 from both sides. 400 minus 256 is 144. So I got a squared equals 144. Am I done? What I gotta do? Square root. So I'm gonna take the square roots of both sides. Again, we need to make sure we know how to use Desmos, because if you just keep waiting on me, you're not gonna help yourself later on in the future. So the square root of 144 equals 12. So remember, right here is the square root button on Desmos. So the square root of 144 equals 12. And there's my missing leg. And I could go back and prove all this by doing, well, if A is 12, then that means 12 squared plus 16 squared should equal 20 squared, which it does. I'm just showing this all over again. So this proves to me that I got the right answer. All right, are there any questions? That was the spiciest I could get today. Nothing? We're good? Oomy zoomies, we're good?
Miss Patterson, I have a question.
Kayla Kang.
So, sorry, my mom's on the phone.
It's okay.
Okay, so basically, when you're trying to find a leg, you multiply you subtract the other leg by this what is that called?
Hypotenuse, yes, ma'am.
Hypotenuse, yes. Is that right?
Yeah, so you subtract the leg from the hypotenuse and then take the square root.
Okay. So you still do square root if anything is missing?
Yes, because like anytime you get to this point, it's like a squared equals this. And so since it's squared, you have to take the square root so you can just see what a equals.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. So this is just me explaining it. So let's see how we do. You will get a decimal on this one, I believe. Don't freak out. Just round to the nearest tenth place. That's one decimal place. Those of you who are still stuck, I will go extremely slow one more time. All right, we're making good time. All right, let's do this. All right, so first thing I need to do is label my triangle. I know I'm missing a leg because this is on the side of the right angle. So I'll just say I'm missing B this time. So switch it up on you. Yes, ma'am. Can you wait like 3 more minutes? Okay. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I always write down my Pythagorean theorem. And I label, so now let's fill it in. 7 squared plus B squared equals 36 squared. And I'm definitely using a calculator. I definitely don't know what 36 squared is. But 7 squared is 49 plus B squared equals 36 squared. Oh gosh, it's 1,296. From here, I'm gonna subtract my leg from both sides because I wanna solve for B, so I gotta get rid of this 49. That gives me B squared equals 1,247. And I know I'm not done yet because it says B squared equals 1,247. So I would need to square root both sides. And that would give me 35.3. Is that what y'all got? Good job. Good job. All righty. Ooh, more color coding. Me like it. Good, good, good. Okay, what do y'all think? Not too hard?
The hardest part is
The vocabulary, pronouncing the words. All right, so submit those drawings, submit those drawings. All right. Good, good, good. I like what I'm seeing. Awesome, blossom. Okay. So we're going to do 2 word problems. I guess this makes it a little harder, huh? But it's not really that much harder, okay? So I'm gonna like read the word problems and then from there y'all can solve, okay? Because today's assignment will have a couple word problems on there. So Junior wanted to calculate the fastest route to the library from his house. So I'm gonna write library, library, and then his house. I probably should have wrote it the other way. Whatever. I'm gonna just clear that. Okay. So I'm gonna just start from his house. Here's his house. To the library, Junior would travel south 9 miles. Do y'all remember what direction south is? Straight down, right? So straight down, I'm going 9 miles. And west, 10 miles. Which direction is west? To the left? Yes, to the left. So I would be traveling to the left, straight to the left, 10 miles. How far would he have to travel diagonally from his house to the library? So here's the library. So it's asking what this distance right here is. So is it asking for a leg or is it asking for a hypotenuse? Hypotenuse. Okay. So let's figure out the hypotenuse. And the person who answered 19, I think you just added these, but yeah, we didn't do anything like that today. So we're doing Pythagorean theorem. So figure out figure out the hypotenuse. Figure out the hypotenuse. No, it does not matter. Does it say anything else? For some reason, it won't show me the rest of the sentence. How far would Junior travel? Oh, here it goes. How far would Junior travel between diagonally from his house to the library? Yeah, so it's just asking for the hypotenuse.
So do you want us to write this down?
No, I would not write this down. I'll just do the math. Yeah, I don't want it to take too long. Okay, looks good. Looks really good. For the sake of time, I would ask someone to explain, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to. But from what I see, most people understand how to do it. 9 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared. 81 plus 100 equals c squared. 181 equals c squared. Square root both sides, and you would get 13.45. Good job, guys. Good job. Very, very happy to see this. Okay. Last one. I don't want you to solve this one. I just want to explain it to you and see if you can figure out what it's asking for. Eddie placed a ladder on his house to put up Christmas lights. The ladder, so anytime there's a word problem, guys, I would always draw a picture. So here's my house. Beautiful, I know. Okay, so the ladder is 20 feet tall. Let me ask a question. When you place a ladder on a house, do you place it straight up or do you place it at an angle usually? You place it at an angle. So I'm going to draw my ladder. Here's my ladder. The ladder is 20 feet tall. So the ladder is 20 feet tall. The base of the ladder from the house is 12 feet. What is that talking about?
Like from where the ladder sits to where the corner of the house.
Yes, so the base of the ladder is the bottom to where the house is 12 feet. How far is the top of the ladder from the ground? So this is asking for a what? A leg. Because the ground and the house would make a 90-degree angle with each other, okay? So I don't want you to solve this. I just wanted to see if you can get it from the word problem, what it's asking for. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, cool. So